I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. When it gets right down to it, we don't have a lot of changes in the midday forecast. Things are rolling along pretty much as anticipated. The only thing I can see that's a bit interesting here so far today, we've got a cool front sneaking into the upper Midwest. This was something we knew was coming. We thought it'd be more of a wind shift line than anything else, but we've actually seen a decent little band of shower and thunderstorms pop up in south central parts of Minnesota, back down into northwest Iowa. So, as we go through the next few hours on into this evening, going to have to watch and see whether this line can hold together moving across the rest of Iowa, maybe getting into parts of Wisconsin and northern Illinois. I guess at this point I'm not expecting much, but we're going to have to watch this very, very closely. Where we are expecting better moisture to develop is from late Sunday, then on through Monday. Another front coming in, following about the same track, but as the low to the north pulls off to the east, we're not going to be seeing the cold air sag southward across a large part of the Corn Belt. Why? A strong surface high is going to be parking over the deep south. So I think this front makes it down about halfway across Illinois, Indiana, and that's about it. So I continue to think that we have a good chance of precipitation as we go from Monday into Tuesday, and you can even say, all right, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, from the I-80 corridor down to the I-70 corridor. But I think the dry weather window stays open south of I-70 right on through the first half of this week coming up. So we're going to keep with that kind of thought process. Also looking at the initial moisture here to be somewhat hit and miss. I'm looking at coverage probably 50 to 60%, not quite as good as what I was thinking a few days ago. Moisture totals a quarter to maybe 1 inch max. That 1 inch max would have to come out of a thunderstorm or two. Where the better moisture comes in is later next week, Wednesday right on through Sunday, Thursday through Sunday. It doesn't really matter. There's good moisture coming in there. I think you're going to see another 1/2 to 1 1/4 inches of rain across all of the Corn Belt as we go through that time frame. That'll bring our week-long totals to right where we've been talking still. 1/2 to 2 inches coverage, I think about 90-95% of the Corn Belt before all is said and done. The main thing, though, here, again, is just this little blip of moisture that's actually hung around close to this weak low in Minnesota and Iowa. I just didn't see that coming through there and being to this level, so now we have to say, all right, what does this do in terms of changing the moisture profile of the atmosphere? And a lot of that will come about as this thing moves east. Does it fall apart? Does it hold together? What have we got? Really looks like this strong high that's over Illinois right now doesn't really want to move, so that might actually eat away at some of this moisture around the low. The extended forecast period, what's that showing at this point in time? Well, in a nutshell, not much different. The models are kind of in disagreement as to how things come together, but they still say that somewhere between the 14th and the 16th we've got a low that comes through. The GFS is trying to build more moisture in toward that 16th time frame, and that would be more in line with what the European weeklies were saying about a week and a half ago, looking at a fairly substantial storm trying to come in there around the 17th, 18th, so we'll see. Then after that, we should kind of dry things down, so I'm going to watch very, very closely to see what that system does there after the 15th. Does it come together, as we've been mentioning, or does it fall apart? That may have a lot to do with how we go then through the latter part of the month. Right now, still think we're going to be seeing a fairly significant dry trend trying to work in across the continental United States, or at least across the Corn Belt. Also, another thing to point out, we kind of mentioned this morning in our online write-up, but it bears mentioning again. It's early. It's just now the 1st of May. We usually don't talk about tropical stuff for a while yet, but the European model's been on it for about 4 to 5 days. We've mentioned it before, and now it's really kind of coming together. We may see our first tropical or subtropical low developing there off the southeast coast, and right now it looks like it wants to meander north, maybe hitting the North Carolina coastline area late next week, Friday night, Saturday morning. Don't think it's got any teeth to it. It's definitely, shouldn't be named. Never know what the Hurricane Center will do, but it probably will throw quite a bit of rain and wind into North Carolina. Just an interesting feature to keep your eyes on here, a kind of a deviation from the norm as we see that low winding up. Not much else to talk about elsewhere. Hard red winter wheat areas will be picking up good rains next week, just like the Corn Belt, so a lot of agriculture's key areas will get needed rain. On the flip side, with that strong surface high sitting over the deep south here this weekend, it really looks like we might be able to dry some things out down there as well. Also, good for crops right now. As always, if you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.